I had a theory that I uploaded that Dragon obtained Roger's devil fruit. Now, I don't think that's the case anymore. Now, this new theory I have completely wipes the slate clean of any devil fruit jargon and talks about the third ancient weapon that we've yet to see or know anything about, Uranus. We all know that there are 3 ancient weapons in the One Piece world. The first one we get a glimpse of is Poseidon. Now, this is the first one that's tangible and we are able to see for our own eyes. We know that it's on Fishman Island, and the difference between Poseidon and Pluton is that Poseidon is a living thing, later known to become Shirahoshi. And that's due to the fact that she inherits the power of Poseidon. Chronologically speaking though, throughout the One Piece world, Pluton is the first one that we are made aware of. And Pluton is a ship with enormous destructive power, and its location is most likely written on the poneglyph in Alabasta that Robin read. No further information about the ancient weapon is known, besides where it most likely resides and the blueprints that Frankie had. Sadly, we don't get to see any bit of the blueprints, and Frankie destroyed them, so our only hope is the knowledge that Robin has and hasn't shared, or any further information that might be shown in these most recent chapters of One Piece coming up. We'll have to see. And lastly, Uranus. We only know that it exists, but I have a theory of what it is and where it is. If we do a little digging, if we look back in chapter 0, Shiki says to Goldie Roger that you have found that apocalyptic weapon. But what Shiki didn't know is that the weapon was already on Oro Jackson. Other theorists and other pages have thought that Uranus is a dragon. I completely agree with this theory, and I'll give you a few points to why it makes sense and what it means for the current world of One Piece and going into Wano. Before we step into that, let's talk about Uranus and what that means. So it's not a Japanese name, actually it's a Greek name. If you translate it in English, it means sky or heaven. Just like Poseidon, there are different mermaids that become Poseidon, and it's the same thing for Uranus. Different dragons throughout time become Uranus. Now, that kind of leads me to believe, on a side note, that potentially all 3 ancient weapons are organic beings. Maybe Pluton is Zoe, for an example. I mean, it just destroyed those ships that Jack was on. It's just a thought in my mind. I know it doesn't make full sense at this point in time, but 3 organic beings of ancient civilization, it has some credit to it. But moving on, going into chapter 0, I think Uranus was responsible for creating the huge wave in the Ed War that destroyed half of Shiki's fleet. With the Ed War coming into the main focus of what we're talking about right now, let's talk about Roger being the one who possessed Uranus. Now, who's another person who potentially has Uranus? The most wanted man in the world. Now, if you pay attention to Roger's execution, now there's the panel, we see all of these pirates except for Dragon. Dragon was there because he knew Roger, or he stole from Roger, or there was some relationship with Roger. And I talked about that in another theory video. If you want to see it, I'll leave the link in the description below. But Dragon now has the ancient weapon. With this in mind, if you take a look at Dragon, you take a look at him at the beginning of the story, he didn't have a tattoo. Now, I think this tattoo has to deal with him and Uranus and its power. From everything we know, no one else in the Revolutionary Army has a tattoo like Dragon, and the only times we've seen tattoos has been when it has been like the Sun Pirates or the Fishman Pirates, like Arlong. And other than that, we see some tattoos for branding for slaves, but Dragon's is different and it's unique. This unique trait is a combination. Now, I think this combination, if you think of Gear 4 for Luffy, is Haki combination with the ability to control or suppress Uranus, which establishes dominance. When he is able to have full control, that tattoo may appear over his whole body, just like Gear 4. Moving into when we see Uranus in action, one of the first points was when Buggy was about to execute Luffy in Logtown. Buggy was hit by a lightning and Luffy was saved. Now that's fate of the gods, so said by Sanji, or he said, do you believe in gods? But I don't in this sense. Looking at it, that doesn't make sense that he was saved by lightning, but lightning has been used in certain situations throughout history with Uranus being involved. Now I know I said earlier that I had a theory that Dragon had a devil fruit, but if we pay attention, Dragon wasn't even near to the square where the execution platform was taking place. As Dragon comes into scene, you notice that this big gust of wind comes in play, and when it's in play, you notice that as the gust comes through the city, even Dragon is raising his hand to protect himself. If he is the one that is causing this wind, why is he needing to protect himself from his own attack? Yeah, questionable. Now talking about the gust of wind and the lightning and all of that in particular, it comes from a source. Now that source is in the sky where you can't see the source itself, but if you pay attention to the small snippets in the videos and the manga, it's all in one spot. It's coming from a direct position. Now that's where the dragon is probably above the clouds and hiding itself. That's why it causes a storm to begin, and then it deploys its magic powers, whatever you want it to be. Now, moving on, there's a big piece of information that I want to share with you guys that really has a big definition on this theory. Now, Cypherpole was tailing Dragon, and they find out information about him, and they know information going through the story, but I find one key piece of information to be of more value than the rest. And that's when he says Cypherpole's also gotten much stronger in recent years, telling them to be mindful. I think this was a direct hint at him saying that the Marines, or all of them all together, are getting more powerful, and that's the main doing of the main scientist for the Marines, Vegapunk. It's his doing because he's trying to create dragons so that they can counter Uranus. But we saw Zoro was able to kill that red dragon that resided in Punk Hazard right when they first arrived in the lava area. And that makes sense because Vegapunk was in that area recently before the whole fight between the two admirals that lasted like 10 days. Also insane, wish we can see that in the anime or the manga as well. Would be fantastic. Now, this also goes into another side theory that I want to make for another day, but there was hints that potentially Kaido was work of Vegapunk. I know, you heard me right. Kaido, this King of Beasts, being used for research purposes. I think he was, and there is potential, but I'll talk about that another day. With that, I'm gonna say goodbye. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Do you guys think that he has a devil fruit? Do you think that it is a dragon? Do you think it's another being? Do you think it's something completely different? Let me know. I also want to see if you guys wanted to help me out. I haven't hit any video likes that have hit over 50, and I wanted to see if you guys do enjoy my videos, and it really helped me a lot by noticing if you guys had some more comments or had some more feedback, gave me some likes in the video. Other than that, I'll catch you guys later. If you want to support the channel, help me make better intros, outros, everything else, head over to patreon.com/animegogowatcher. Now, later.